What's going on, self-helper, and welcome to Self-Help Yourself, the #1 self-help channel dedicated to making you the best version of yourself. And every week here on this channel, we do that by inspiring you through the power of psychology. So if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification icon to never miss another video to becoming the best version of yourself. So starting things off with a negative attitude. What is that doing for you? We'll be discussing this and more today. 5 reasons why you need to stop thinking negatively, and those are the reasons why you're thinking negatively in the first place, because it's self-damaging. If you start things off with a negative attitude, it usually leads to negative outcomes. And when you do that consistently enough, it leads to consistent negative results. So it's a vicious cycle that you need to become aware of and start changing how you do things. So you may be a victim of negative automatic thoughts. Negative automatic thoughts happen to you when you don't even realize it, and they tend to dominate your thinking, which is why it's so important to become aware of them and acknowledge their presence. The thing with negative automatic thoughts is, when they were first described by Aaron Beck, the very famous cognitive psychologist, he spoke about the amount of impact they can have in your life, which is why they can be really devastating on your performance. So becoming aware of them and then trying to ultimately change how you view your negative automatic thoughts is an important aspect of creating the right mindset to ultimately achieve and perform well. When we look at the ultimate outcome and we start off by thinking with a negative attitude, what does it do for us? The reality of the matter is this. If you start anything off with a negative attitude, it ultimately leads you to put in less effort, take less action, and ultimately will lead to poor results. What does that do for your mindset? What does that do for taking even more action if you want to in future? You're never going to really get started. And you get into that cycle where you really don't see things turn out the way you want to. So it demands a change. Again, look at what a negative automatic thought can do to you. It can even sabotage your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others. It has a really huge and damaging impact to your life. Things have to be a certain way. When you break it down, it ultimately comes back to, what do I want things to be like? That's an important perception that we need to understand and try to change, because everything that we want to see the way we want it to be will never be the way we exactly want it to be, which is why we need to either change our mindset with regard to that, or we change our reality in itself. So that was the first one. Changing a negative outcome by transforming our mindset or transforming the circumstances around us to ultimately view it in a positive way that can lead to a positive outcome. Moving on to the second thing, which is a lack of self-belief. If you do not believe in yourself, it doesn't really do well for how much motivation you have with regard to the task you want to actually do. There are 2 types of motivation. I have a video out on this already. I'll link it up. Click the I button to see that, or go down to the description box below. What is that? Extrinsic motivation or intrinsic motivation? The ideal blend of these two coming together leads to the best kind of performance. Extrinsic motivation is the kind of motivation that you can use to motivate you by looking at external objects. Like, say you're a sportsman, you look at a trophy or something that you may gain at the end. That's your motivation. You work towards that. Versus intrinsic motivation, where you do it because you enjoy it. Engaging in the activity gives you that personal sense of pleasure that pushes you towards performing a particular task. If you use these 2 motivations together, what happens is your self-belief can dramatically increase, and your vision or your focus on the task at hand changes. Self-belief is a matter of being highly competent at what you're actually doing. And that leads into point number 3, which is lack of self-confidence due to poor competence. Confidence is again probably the foundation of every little activity that you will do. Confidence is a matter of taking action and ultimately developing the belief. Sometimes you may want to achieve something, but it comes at a consequence where you have to deal with a lot of anxiety, a lot of self-doubt. You need to deal with these negative automatic thoughts that are blocking you from ultimately taking action and achieving what you want to achieve. The thing with that is, if you are not confident in yourself and your abilities, it leads to you developing a negative attitude about what you have within you. What are the possibilities that can ultimately come out of it? You never really tap into the belief system or the potential that you have within yourself to go towards what you want. That's a huge issue that you need to overcome. If you want to truly overcome that, start taking a lot of action. Take so much action that your belief has to change. Take action towards your goal. Take daily action. This makes a dramatic difference in how you view your ultimate possibilities of achieving what you want to see. Which leads into point number 4, which is accessing your potential. If you want to really access your true potential, your ultimate potential, you need to keep taking that action. Become more competent at what you're already good at, because you're constantly becoming more competent and confident by taking a lot of action, and then you start to view your potential very differently. Hey, I could only do this much sometime back then, but now I can do things a lot better. I have a lot more potential within me to tap. I see myself performing at a much higher level than I ever thought possible. My capabilities have changed. My possibilities of ultimately achieving or performing at a level I thought wasn't possible earlier is now suddenly possible. Why did that happen? Because you're taking constant action, because you are changing your belief system constantly. And what is that doing to your results? You are seeing results happen before your eyes for the very first time. And once you see that for the very first time, you start to take even more action. You start to see even more results. This is really powerful, because that's what happens when you get into a cycle of confidence, a cycle of success, a cycle of achievement. Unless something comes in the way or interferes with what you want to achieve, you keep going with the flow. This is a very famous quote that I heard from a speaker recently, which said that master the form and then flow with the formless, by this speaker called Eric Ho that I saw recently. He basically meant that we become so competent that we can't help become confident, and whatever is undefined later, we just work our way towards it, and we ultimately get there. Because we have done everything that we needed to ultimately get to where we want to be. Again, such a powerful thing. So tap into that ultimate potential by taking constant action and moving every day one step closer towards what you want. You'll start to see all of these insecurities, these anxieties that you may have had in the past suddenly disappear. So powerful and so very, very effective. And here's the last thing. A negative attitude leads to the reinforcement of a poor belief. Just like how I was talking about your negative attitude ultimately leading to reduced actions, which lead to reduced results, it also transforms your belief. And just like that, if you want to actually shift all of this, make it all come together, you need to develop the belief of a champion, the belief that you have about yourself that needs to change. This comes from frequent success. So if you are someone who has never experienced any kind of success in your life, you need to start working towards achieving some sort of success. Start changing how you look at your past failures. If in fact you want to transform your life, What you need to do is leverage or use all of that negative energy and transform all of that powerful energy into something positive. Take action that leads to positive results. Very, very systematically and with a plan in mind, this is the best way to go about it. Things are not always going to be how you want them to be, but taking the necessary actions gives you a sense of control, a sense of power that comes from becoming more and more competent at what you do. So, educating yourself, learning every single day, working and training towards something that you really want for yourself, that fulfills this inner need that I want to do this for myself. That is some of the most powerful stuff that you can ever incorporate into your life. And if that negative attitude has to shift, it has to come from within. You need to have the desire that I want to shift it. Become more mindful of what you're thinking at any point of time. Once you start thinking negatively, just tell yourself, hey, I'm thinking negatively. What is this doing for me? So developing the skill of accurate thinking. Accurate thinking comes from the inner strength of judging any piece of information for what it is. In reality, what is negative thinking doing for you? What is this negative attitude actually doing for you? Is it doing you any good? Is it leading to results? Are you feeling any good about yourself? There you go. If any of these answers is leading to a benefit, go ahead and keep those negative automatic thoughts because they're clearly doing wonders for you. However, for the most of us who do struggle with negative automatic thoughts, this is exactly what needs to transform. You want to make that degree of personal development happen because negative automatic thoughts are dominant. And we are somehow biologically inclined to think this way. But we can also choose, that's the power of the human mind, where we can choose to think a certain way if we want to. Aim to transform your attitude today and work towards developing a positive attitude with regard to anything that you may do. Look at the amount of effort that you would put in. Look at the kind of action you would take. Look at what kind of potential you would tap into if you saw some of that action lead to positive results. What does it eventually lead to? It leads you to your goal. That is the power of making this change. So developing a positive attitude is all you need to aim for, and suddenly the world around you will start to change. The amount of action, the amount of potential, the amount of results you see changes because you now have a changed belief about yourself. Your negativity is completely gone. You have transformed and achieved what you always wanted to see. And that is the gift that I can give you from this video. Think positive by acting positively. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, make sure you leave it a thumbs up and leave your comments down in the section below. Aside from that, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification icon to never miss another video, because every week we are working on it towards making you the best version of yourself. So hit that bell notification icon and subscribe right now. Check out my other videos because they are all designed to make your life amazing. This is Vikram signing off, and I'll see you in the next session.